Hello everyone, I am Vishal Rajput and this is the introductory video of our graph series in which we are going to learn about what is graph and what are the different types of graph we have. So what is graph? So as we have already covered our binary tree, like binary tree, graph is also a non-linear data structure which consists of node and edges. So a graph, you can say a graph represent a relationship between real life entities or real life objects. So for example, if you see a Google map, in Google map what this show, the distance between two location. So this is an example of graph. So now let's understand and deep dive into graph. So graph consists of a node. Let's take an example. This is our node A and this is our node B. And we can say, take a real life, for real life example, I can say this is my city A and this is my city B. And let's say for these two cities, these two objects are connected and or have some relationship between them. And the relationship will be denoted by these edges. This edge. So this is edge, these two are known as node. Okay, and if this edge shows anything, any relationship. For now, let's say this edge. So then we can move from city A to city B through this path. Okay, so I hope you understand what is node, what is edge and what is graph. So I can write the definition of graph. Graph is a non-linear data structure which consists of nodes and edges which represent relationship between objects. I hope definition of graph is clear to you. So now let's understand the edges. So there are two types of edges. So if I can say that this is node A, this is node B and this is edge. This is my one type of edge which is known as unordered edge. And second is ordered edge. If this is object 1 and this is object 2 and this is directed. So I would say this is directed edge. So now how to represent unordered edge? Unordered edge is represented by curly braces A comma B which is equals to our B comma A. That means there is no particular relationship between A to B. If there is a relation between A to B, then there will be a relation from B to A. We can say if there is a relation from A to B, then there will be relation to B to A. But in directed edges, there is a particular relation from one side to another side. So here I would say directed edges is represented by our ordered set. Here our A comma B is not equals to our B comma A. So this is how we represent our unordered edges and directed edges. So I hope you understand about the graph, node and edges. Now let's understand about the types of graph. So the very first types of graph is on the basis of what types of edges they have. If they have a unordered or you can say undirected edges, then it will be a undirected graph, and if it contains directed edges, then it will be a directed graph. Now graph can be further divided into cyclic and acyclic depending on a cycle is present in a graph or not. So let's understand what is acyclic and cyclic graph and what is cycle in the graph. So here if you see in the first graph, from this 2 I can go to 1 and from 1 I can go to 5 and from 5 I can go to 4 and from 4 I can go to 2. So you can see that this form a cycle. So what is a cycle in a graph? Cycle in a graph is a very simple thing. If you can reach from a one node to again on that node through a different path. So here if you see from this one, from this one you can reach from this one you can go to 2 and again from 2 you can reach to 1. But this is not a cycle. But from 1 you can go to 3, then 2 and then 1. So this form a cycle. So if a graph contains a cycle, that is known as a cyclic graph, and if a graph do not contain a cycle, it is known as acyclic graph. If you see this graph contain a cycle, so I would say this is a directed graph plus this is a cyclic graph. So I would say this is a directed cyclic graph. This graph is a directed but it does not contain a cyclic, so this is known as directed or cyclic graph, or in short we say DAG. And for a directed graph, in short we say digraph. Similarly, this graph is contains cyclic, but it is not directed. So this is uncyclic, or we will say undirected cyclic graph. And this graph is not a directed, and this graph does not contain a cyclic. So this is undirected acyclic. So I hope you understand the different types of graph on the basis of direction and on the basis of cycle. So now graph is further divided into on the basis of weighted and non-weighted edges. So before moving ahead, let's understand we can show undirected edges by this or by both sides. So this is also undirected edges. So here if I say from city 1 we can go to city 2, and from city 2 we can go to city 1. So if I map this with, I can say, let's say give some weight. Weight means give some properties to this edge. So I am saying the distance between two cities is 10, or I can say from going to city 1 to city 2 it will cost me $10. Okay, similarly from city 2 1 to 3 it will take me 15, and I can't go from 2 to 3. Okay, but here if I am not mentioning anything, okay, so this is known as unweighted graph, and this is our weighted graph. And in unweighted graph we can assume all the weight, we can assume it also a weighted graph with all the weight a unit weight. Okay, so I hope you understand about the weighted graph as well. So we can now further divide our graph into on the basis of sparsity. What is this sparsity? Sparsity tells about the number of edges we have in the graph. So if we have very less number of edges in the graph, that graph is known as sparse graph. And if a graph contains more edges, then it will known as dense graph. So let me give you one example. So here if this one node is connected with 2, and this will connected with 3, and this is connected with 4. So here if you see this number of edges are 3. Okay, and I would say the number of edges is in the order of number of, what is it, that is n. It is in the order of n. But so this is sparse graph. But if we have a number of edges in the order of n square, where n denote the number of nodes, so this will be a dense graph. So if I will show some example. So let's say 1 is connected to 2, 2 is connected to 3, 3 is connected to 4, and from this 4 is connected to 2, 3 is connected to 3, and this is connected to this, and 4 is connected to this. So this is, you can say, a dense graph if it is order of n square. So I hope you understand what is graph and what are the different types of graph. We have covered all the types of graph, and if you want to check out the notes, so you can also check out this note and find the link in the description. So do hit the like and subscribe button for more such video, and I am going to complete this graph series which consists more than 50 problems and the algorithms. So do check out the series, and thanks for watching.